I have $95 in my wallet right now. But why does that matter? Well, have you ever wondered how much a gold piece would actually be worth in real life? I did, and I haven't slept since. But I did figure it out. So if you want to figure out how much my $95 is in a fictional game's currency, you've come to the right place. So how did I do it? The first thing I had to do was find a point of reference for my dollars. So I started off with the median income of a single person living in America right now because I live in America and I'm too stupid for conversion rates. Anyways, off to the census.gov website I went. According to the 2021 census, the median household income is $69,021. And this is where my frustration with the US government comes into play. Apparently, all of these numbers are calculated using household income, which is a really sneaky way to make these numbers look better than they actually are, because according to the very same website, the average people per household is 2.6. This means that I have to divide the household income by the average number of people per household to get the actual median per individual, which would be $26,546. Doing my best to not feel disheartened at the sad state of my country, I then went to work. Step 2 was to find something to compare that number to within D&D. So I opened up the player's handbook and went right to the equipment page to get some more reference numbers. Looking at a couple of the items, I wrote down their gold cost and approximate dollar value based on different websites like Home Depot or Amazon. Specifically, I used 4 items to get these numbers: a hammer, a sledgehammer, 50 feet of hempen rope, and a shovel. Each of these items has a gold value of 1 to 2 gold pieces, and their rough equivalent dollar value is shown here on the screen. With some simple math, we can find out that each of these items' dollar values roughly 15 to 20 times that of their gold value. At this point, I was starting to feel pretty optimistic about this whole task. But I may have been setting the bar a little bit too low because the more digging I did, the more variance I found. For example, a crowbar is 2 gold and roughly $20. These numbers equate to 10 times rather than the 15 to 20 I found with the other items. Which honestly was still within reason. 10 to 20 times is still a pretty consistent variance. And then, the item that haunts my illiterate self's nightmare manifested itself to taunt me into the waking world, the dreaded book. According to the player's handbook, a book is worth 25 gold. What's more is I also included the magnifying glass, which was a whopping 100 gold. You can imagine what these did to my numbers. Giving the book an average dollar cost of about $10 based on some preliminary research with Barnes & Nobles and Amazon, the book is actually more expensive in gold to a value of 2 times more expensive in D&D. And the magnifying glass was roughly 20 times more expensive than its real-world counterpart, taking the range from 10 to 20 times the value to -20 to +20 times the value. And this is the moment I realized this was not going to be as easy as I once thought. So, on to the next idea I went. This one seemed to be the most logical of all because it involved the gold bar from the very same equipment list that I was just complaining about. It seemed so simple. Why not just compare imaginary gold to real-life gold? Well, the logic was sound, but what I found was even more confusing. Frustratingly, gold bars are weighed in ounces and kilos, so I had to do some basic math here to get the value of a 1 pound gold bar, which is what's referred to in the player's handbook, which roughly equates to $28,000, while in D&D, a 1 pound gold bar costs 50 gold. Apparently, this real world values gold bars a lot more than people in an imaginary world. Who would have guessed? And if you couldn't tell based on those numbers, this really didn't work out either. The difference here isn't 20 times or even 40 times the difference. It's a difference of 588 times more expensive in real life than in D&D. That makes 1 gold piece roughly $588 in the real world, which makes absolutely no sense comparatively. So with this realization, I sat down and I thought about it more. Could Wizards of the Coast just come up with some completely arbitrary number for equipment in D&D? And the honest answer I found was, yeah. At this point, the task seemed impossible. So I laid down my calculator, tossed my wallet in the trash, and threw in the towel. But one day it hit me. What if I'm looking at this the wrong way? What if I'm comparing two completely different societies with different values? Equating real-world value to D&D items isn't going to be simple because our real world values different things than the imaginary world. In the US, we have easy access to things like books and magnifying glasses, all with the simple click of a buy it now button on Amazon. But in D&D, at least the traditional setting of D&D, books are much more rare and the materials and craftsmanship required to make a magnifying glass are likely incredibly so too. It's because the real world and the D&D world value things differently, and definitely not because I was trying to compare an imaginary currency to what I currently have in my wallet. And with this new theory and renewed hope, I took one last shot at providing a real world value for D&D currency. At this point, I needed a better point of reference. Something concrete in the D&D books that I can use to compare in order to get something. And then, just when my hope was beginning to fade, the sky opened up and Lathander himself came down, slapped me across the face, and said, "Figure it out, stupid." And in this moment, the wind blew open the pages of Xanathar's Guide to Everything and flipped open the page, I didn't write that in the script, showing me exactly what I had been looking for. And what I found was the wages for NPCs. Okay, look. I know it might sound like I'm exaggerating here, but I honestly spent 3 whole weeks trying to find points of references here, and for some unknown reason, I could not find this table for that entire time. But anyways, once Lathander had gifted me this page, I went to work with these numbers. Taking the median individual income we found earlier of $26,546, I then divided that by 52 to get the average weekly income of 510.5 whole American buckaroos. I then compared that to the modest lifestyle, which would be 7 GP per week, and simply did math. 510.5 divided by 7 equals 72.9, meaning that by this metric, a single gold piece would be worth $72.90, a silver piece would be worth $7.29, and a copper piece would be roughly 72 cents. And don't at me asking about Illyrium, okay? I struggled enough figuring this out. Anyways, using these values that we have right now, the $95 in my wallet is worth 1 gold piece, 3 silver pieces, and about half a copper. And now that I know I would be poor as f***ing D&D, I can go to sleep. If you're asking why I spent all this time trying to figure this out, I would say, don't judge me. Just because I wanted to spend 3 weeks of my life doing incredibly simple and basic mathematics in an attempt to find real-world value of an imaginary currency doesn't mean that I'm any less of a... Wow, I wasted a lot of time. But at least I got a video out of it. So how much gold do you have in your wallet? Leave a comment below, and actually don't do that. Speaking that out loud sounds really incredibly strange and a very personal thing to share. But you could subscribe, which would be pretty cool too. You could check out our Discord, or if you really wanted to support our channel, you could consider joining as a member or a patron. Both get access to all of our homebrew, our items, our NPCs, and special roles in that Discord. Also, if you have any thoughts, or maybe you think I'm wrong, just want to laugh about how much time I wasted, leave a comment below and let me know. I read every comment, almost always reply, and who knows, I might even feature your comment in the next video. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you on Friday.